They silent or exponency. The outer rim of the Orion Nebula shimmered with the echoes of battle. Massive Valthuran warships, sleek obsidian vessels with curved blade-like wings, exchanged concentrated plasma fire with the bulkier corrosion battlecruisers. The corrosion ships, resembling ancient nautilus shells forged from living metal, absorbed the impacts with fluctuating energy fields that rippled like water under moonlight. This conflict, brewing for decades over territorial rights to the resource-rich Cygnus corridor, had finally erupted into open warfare. Neither side noticed the small convoy of human colony vessels attempting to navigate the supposedly safe passage through the conflict zone. Captain Helena Reese stood on the bridge of the Eternal Dawn, the lead ship of the seven-vessel human convoy. Her weathered face reflected the blue emergency lighting as she gripped the command console. "Status report on the Valthuran fleet," she asked, her voice steady despite the chaos unfolding around them. Lieutenant Nakamura, the young officer with intense eyes, looked up from his monitor. "They're moving into attack formation, but their target appears to be the corrosion defense line, not us. We should be clear if we maintain this vector." Helena nodded, glancing at the holographic display showing their plotted course, a narrow corridor between the two alien armadas. The Yuvan Colonial Transit Authority had assured them this route remained neutral territory. Both warring species had signed agreements to respect human passage rights. "Captain," called Communications Officer Liu, her face pale under the emergency lights, "I'm picking up anomalous energy readings from the Valthuran flagship." Before Helena could respond, a blinding flash erupted from the Valthuran vessel. A wave of energy, neither light nor matter but something between, expanded outward like a ripple in reality itself. "Evasive maneuvers," Helena shouted, but it was already too late. The wave struck the human convoy. The Eternal Dawn shuddered violently as its shields collapsed. Through the viewports, Helena watched in horror as three ships at the rear of the convoy, the Horizon Seeker, the Terra Nova, and the Prosperity, disintegrated instantly, their hulls shredding like paper caught in a storm. "Casualties?" Helena demanded, already knowing the answer. "Complete loss of the rear ships," Nakamura reported, voice breaking. "Over 600 colonists, Captain, families." Helena's grip tightened on the console as emergency alarms blared across the remaining ships. The Eternal Dawn lurched sideways as secondary explosions rippled through its engineering section. The last thing she saw before consciousness faded was the cold, distant light of the Valthuran vessels continuing their assault on the corrosions, as if nothing had happened. As if human lives meant nothing at all. Admiral Vorkin of the Valthuran Dominion reviewed the battle telemetry with 6 of his crimson eyes. The remaining 2 focused on his senior staff. His exoskeleton, adorned with ceremonial battle markings, clicked subtly as he shifted his weight. "Explain the human vessels," he commanded, his voice a harmonious blend of tones that reverberated through the command chamber. Strategic Officer Mekrath, her carapace still bearing the sheen of youth, approached the holographic display. "Collateral damage from the quantum cascade weapon. Admiral, their primitive shielding couldn't withstand the radiation band. Were casualties confirmed. Total destruction of 3 vessels, approximately 614 human life forms terminated." Vorkin's mandibles clicked in what passed for Galthuran contemplation. "Register it as incidental contact. Non-military engagement. Will there be diplomatic consequences?" Mekrath's antennae quivered slightly. "Humans have maintained strict neutrality in our conflict with the corrosions. Their response patterns suggest they will file formal protests through diplomatic channels, perhaps demand reparations. Nothing of strategic concern." And the corrosion response? They've already issued a statement denying responsibility, claiming our quantum cascade deliberately encompassed the human convoy. Vorkin dismissed the accusation with a wave of his upper limb. "Standard procedure. The matter is closed. Return focus to the primary engagement." The bridge returned to its efficient operation, the human deaths already forgotten amidst the continuing battle. In the Grand Assembly Hall of the Corrosion Unity, High Commander Saller addressed the gathered representatives of the 17 hive clusters. His translucent, gelatinous form pulsed with bioluminescent patterns that conveyed both language and emotion to his kind. The humans suffered casualties during the Valtharan assault, he explained, his body flashing with patterns of factual statement. Their governing body has requested information regarding responsibility. What response have we provided? Asked Elder Rylock, her ancient form barely maintaining cohesion. The standard diplomatic protocol. We expressed regret for their loss, while redirecting blame to Valtharan aggression. We have offered token ceremonial condolences, but denied any liability. A younger representative pulsed with patterns suggesting concern. Will the humans retaliate? Their historical records indicate. They are a minor species, interrupted Saller, his form flashing dismissively. 600 deaths represent an insignificant fraction of their population. They possess no military capacity capable of influencing our conflict. Their economic and technological capabilities remain primitive compared to either corrosion or Valtharan standards. The assembly pulsed in agreement, their collective bioluminescence creating a symphony of light that signified consensus. The human matter is considered resolved, concluded Saller. Return focus to the defense of the sickness corridor. For 3 days, silence was the only response from Earth. No diplomatic communiques. No formal protests. No demands for investigation. The unusual quiet puzzled some alien observers, but most dismissed it as evidence of human weakness or indecision. On the 4th day, everything changed. At the edge of the Orion Nebula, where the battle between Valtharan and corrosion forces had devolved into a war of attrition, space itself began to ripple. The distortion began small, barely registering on standard sensors, then expanded exponentially. On the Valtharan command vessel, Sensor Officer Kithrak's antennae went rigid with alarm. Admiral, spatial anomaly detected at coordinates 227 to 849.016. Admiral Vorkin turned his attention to the main display. Analysis. Unknown configuration. Not matching any corrosion signature. Energy output. Kithrak paused, recalibrating his instruments. Energy output exceeds our measurement capabilities. Before Vorkin could issue orders, the anomaly stabilized into a massive tear in space-time. A breach unlike any wormhole or jump point in recorded galactic history. From within this cosmic wound emerged a vessel of impossible proportions. Over 3 kilometers in length, its hull was matte black, absorbing rather than reflecting light. Its form resembled an ancient Earth predator, sleek, dangerous, with angles that hurt the eye to follow. No external markings adorned its surface. No illumination betrayed signs of life within. A single word adorned its prow in simple, stark lettering. Leviathan. Identify that vessel, demanded Vorkin, all 6 eyes fixed on the monstrosity that had appeared. Human construction, reported McGrath, her voice uncharacteristically hesitant. But impossible. Our intelligence indicates they possess nothing remotely comparable to this scale or configuration. Open communications, ordered Vorkin. All frequencies. The communications officer complied, broadcasting across all known channels. Attention unidentified human vessel. This is Admiral Vorkin of the Valtharan Dominion. You have entered an active combat zone. State your purpose immediately. The response was silence. On the corrosion flagship, similar confusion reigned. High Commander Saller's form pulsed with rapid patterns of alarm as he observed the human vessel. Establish contact, he ordered his communications cluster. Determine their intentions. The bioluminescent patterns of the communications officers flashed with increasing urgency. No response on any frequency, Commander. They are receiving but not acknowledging. Tactical analysis. Impossible to complete, responded the defense cluster. Our sensors cannot penetrate their hull. No emissions detected. No weapon systems identified. No energy signatures recognizable. Saller pulsed with patterns of frustration and growing concern. Deploy defensive formation Delta. Alert all vessels to maintain distance but prepare engagement protocols. As both alien fleets adjusted their positions, uncertainty replacing battle coordination, the Leviathan finally moved. Its massive form accelerated with impossible grace, defying its size as it positioned itself directly between the warring armadas. Then, without warning or preamble, it acted. No visible weapons discharge. No energy blasts erupted from concealed batteries. Instead, a wave of nothing expanded outward from the vessel. Where this invisible force touched Valtharan and corrosion ships alike, systems failed. Engines died. Weapons powered down. Communications went silent. Admiral Vorkin watched in horror as his mighty fleet drifted powerless in space. "What is happening?" he demanded, multiple limbs gesticulating in agitation. "Unknown technology," reported his science officer, frantically working at terminals that were rapidly losing power. "Some form of energy negation field. It's shutting down everything it touches." On the corrosion command ship, a similar scene unfolded as systems failed sequentially. High Commander Salar's bioluminescence pulsed with patterns never before seen in corrosion history. Pure, unfiltered fear. "Countermeasures," he ordered, his patterns becoming erratic. "No response from defensive systems," came the reply. "The field is spreading. It's inside our neural networks now." Across both fleets, over 300 warships, the pride of two mighty civilizations, drifted helpless in space, their crews watching in stunned silence as the human vessel held position, dark and silent against the stars. Then, at last, a transmission came from the Leviathan. It broadcast simultaneously to all disabled vessels, bypassing encrypted channels with ease. The message was simple, delivered in a calm, almost conversational human voice. "This is Captain Marcus Chen of the Earth Defense Force vessel Leviathan. We've come regarding the human colony ships you destroyed 4 days ago. We would like to discuss appropriate compensation." The silence that followed was absolute. The galaxy, which had dismissed humanity as insignificant, suddenly found itself holding its breath. When Sci-Fi is PA case, Admiral Vorkin's command center had shifted to emergency power, bathing the bridge in dim red light that made his exoskeleton appear blood-stained. His officers worked frantically at their stations, attempting to restore function to their disabled systems. "How?" he demanded, mandibles clicking in agitation. "How has one vessel neutralized our entire fleet?" Science Officer Dathrax, an elder whose carapace bore the scars of 3 previous wars, studied readings from the few instruments still functioning. "The human weapon appears to be a form of targeted subspace manipulation. It isn't destroying our technology. It's altering the fundamental physical constants within its field of effect." "Impossible," hissed Vorkin. "No species has mastered such technology." "Evidently," Dathrax replied dryly, "one has." Across the void, aboard the corrosion flagship, High Commander Salar's form pulsed with chaotic patterns of distress as he addressed his surviving council. "Our bioneural networks are failing. The human weapon doesn't just affect technology. It's disrupting our collective consciousness protocols." Elder Rylock, her ancient form now barely luminescent, pulsed weakly. "We have gravely miscalculated. Historical archives warned of human potential. We dismissed those warnings as exaggeration. The humans were nothing," Salar insisted, his patterns betraying his confusion. "A minor species with limited territorial presence. Primitive propulsion. No significant military capacity." "A deliberate deception," pulsed another elder. "They hid their true capabilities." As both alien commanders grappled with their new reality, the human vessel Leviathan maintained its position, a dark sentinel against the stars. Inside the Leviathan, Captain Marcus Chen sat in a simple command chair at the center of a circular bridge. Unlike the ornate command centers of alien vessels, the human bridge was spartanly functional. No unnecessary displays, no decorative elements, just clean lines and essential systems. Around him, His crew worked with quiet efficiency. No shouted orders, no frantic activity. Each officer moved with practiced precision, as if this were a routine patrol rather than a confrontation with the two most powerful fleets in the sector. Lieutenant Commander Diana Reeves, executive officer, approached with a data tablet. Her dark hair was pulled back in a regulation knot, her uniform bearing only the simple insignia of her rank. Status of the neutralization field, Chen asked without looking up from his console. Holding at 98% efficiency, Captain. 327 vessels contained. Both alien flagships are maintaining position. Chen nodded, his weathered face betraying no emotion. And our power reserves. The reactor can maintain the field for approximately 72 more hours at current output, reported Chief Engineer Kazuo Takahashi from his station. The older man's hands moved steadily across his controls, making minute adjustments to power distribution. Longer if we reduce the radius. Chen swiveled his chair to face Communications Officer Priya Sharma, a young woman whose calm demeanor belied the tension of the situation. Any response to our transmission? Both factions are attempting to negotiate separately, Captain, she replied. The Valtharan are offering technological exchange. The Corrosians are proposing territorial concessions. Chen's expression hardened slightly. Put them through. Simultaneously, the main view screen split, showing both alien commanders. Admiral Vorkin's multiple eyes shifted nervously, while High Commander Sauler's bioluminescent patterns pulsed with barely controlled anxiety. Gentlemen, Chen began, his voice calm and conversational. I appreciate your prompt response. Let me clarify our position. Earth does not seek technology or territory. We seek acknowledgement of wrongdoing and appropriate restitution for the lives lost on our colony vessels. The incident was regrettable, clicked Vorkin, his translator converting his harmonics to human speech, but occurred within an active combat zone. The humans entered at their own risk. Chen's expression didn't change, but the temperature on the bridge seemed to drop several degrees. The convoy was following the neutral corridor established by Treaty 35B, which both your governments signed. They were clearly marked as civilian vessels. Their destruction was not regrettable. It was either deliberate or criminally negligent. Sauler's form pulsed with defensive patterns. If you possess such advanced technology, why did you not protect your own kind? Why wait until after the tragedy to demonstrate your capabilities? A ghost of a smile crossed Chen's face. An excellent question. Perhaps we should discuss the concepts of restraint and proportional response. He tapped a command on his console, and a holographic display appeared before both alien commanders. It showed a complete technical readout of their respective fleets, weapon capabilities, shield frequencies, propulsion specifications, even command protocols. We've known everything about your civilizations for decades, Chen continued. We could have intervened in your conflict at any time. We chose not to. Neutrality was our policy, until you made it untenable. The aliens fell silent, the implications sinking in. Now, Chen said, let's discuss appropriate compensation for the 614 lives you collectively ended. In a secure compartment deep within the Leviathan, Science Officer Dr. Eleanor Chen, Captain Chen's sister, monitored readings from the alien vessels. Her laboratory was a stark contrast to the orderly bridge, filled with holographic displays showing equations and simulations that would baffle most human physicists. Beside her stood Lieutenant Commander Adebayo, head of the ship's intelligence division. His tall frame bent slightly as he studied the data streams. They still don't understand what they're facing, do they? He asked quietly. Eleanor shook her head, silver-streaked hair catching the light from the displays. They're still looking for the technology. They haven't grasped that there is no device generating the field. How long before they realize? They can't, Eleanor replied simply. Their entire scientific paradigm prevents it. They've built their civilizations on manipulating energy and matter through technology. The concept that consciousness itself could directly influence physical constants, She trailed off, gesturing to a display showing brain activity from the Leviathan's crew. 60 minds working in perfect synchrony, not through neural implants or artificial interfaces, but through a shared mental discipline developed over generations in secret Earth facilities. The Synchron program, Adebayo murmured, humanity's best-kept secret. Eleanor nodded. The ship is just a shell. We are the weapon. Admiral Vorkin conferred urgently with his science division via the few communication channels still functioning. There must be a countermeasure, he insisted, some frequency to disrupt their field. Science Officer Dathrex's mandibles clicked in frustration. Our analysis indicates there is no field generator to target. The effect appears to propagate from the ship itself, as if, he hesitated. As if what? Vorkin demanded. As if the ship and its crew are a single entity, Dathrex finished reluctantly. Our sensors detect unusual neural activity throughout the vessel. Synchronized brainwave patterns unlike anything in our databases. Across space, High Commander Saller reached a similar disturbing conclusion as his bioanalysts reported their findings. The humans have developed something beyond technology. His patterns conveyed to the Council. They have weaponized consciousness itself. Elder Rylok's ancient form pulsed with patterns of historical reference. The archives mention primitive human studies in this field, parapsychology, quantum consciousness theory. We dismissed these as superstitious nonsense, a calculated misdirection. Saller realized, his patterns shifting to those indicating fundamental reassessment. While we focused on their technological development, they pursued a different path entirely. Captain Chen reviewed the terms of surrender on his display. Both alien factions had agreed to comprehensive peace treaties, not just with Earth, but with each other. The resource dispute that had triggered their war now seemed trivial compared to the revelation of human capabilities. They've accepted all conditions, reported Lieutenant Commander Reeves, including the establishment of a memorial at the site of the convoy's destruction and reparations to the families. Chen nodded, feeling no satisfaction. And the demilitarized zone. 10 parsecs in all directions around human space, Reeves confirmed. They're already withdrawing their forces. Chief Engineer Takahashi approached, his expression solemn. Captain, was this demonstration necessary? We could have revealed ourselves more gradually, established diplomatic relations without showing them exactly what happens when they dismiss human life as collateral damage. Chen finished quietly. No, Chief. Some lessons need to be memorable. He stood, addressing his bridge crew. Prepare to release the alien vessels from the containment field. Maintain passive monitoring, but allow them to restore basic functions. As the crew executed his orders, Chen moved to the view screen, which showed the disabled alien fleets drifting against the backdrop of stars. Send final transmission to both commanders, he instructed Communications Officer Sharma. When the channel opened, he spoke clearly and without emotion. This is Captain Chen. As agreed, we will now allow you to restore power to your vessels. Consider today a lesson in the true meaning of neutrality. Earth does not seek conquest or domination. We seek only to be left in peace. Remember that the next time you consider human lives expendable. He signaled for the transmission to end, then turned to his executive officer. Set course for Earth, Commander. Our demonstration is complete. As the Leviathan departed, leaving the alien fleets to recover, a new understanding rippled through the galaxy. Reports spread from system to system, growing with each retelling. A single human vessel had neutralized the combined might of the two most powerful civilizations in the sector, not through superior firepower or advanced technology, but through something the aliens could barely comprehend. In the Grand Assembly of the Galactic Concord, representatives from 17 species debated the implications. The Xanthi ambassador, a crystalline entity that communicated through light patterns, addressed the gathering. For centuries, we have observed humans from a distance. We noted their fractious nature, their technological inconsistencies, their seemingly limited expansion. We assumed they posed no significant presence in galactic affairs. The ambassador's light patterns intensified. We were wrong. They were not weak. They were waiting. Not technologically primitive, but pursuing knowledge along paths we never considered. Not absent from galactic politics, but watching, learning our weaknesses. In the following months, human diplomatic missions were received with unprecedented respect throughout the galaxy. Species that had previously dismissed Earth as insignificant now sought alliance and exchange. And throughout human space, the true nature of the Synchron program remained classified. Only a select few knew that the Leviathan was merely the first of its kind, a prototype for a fleet that would ensure humanity's place among the stars not through conquest, but through the simple message its existence conveyed. Underestimate us at your peril. For in the vast darkness between stars, the silence of humanity had never indicated weakness, only patience, and that patience had run out.